Hey people, how you doing? Good evening. This is Steve, and I am turning two into one. That's our marriage and family ministry, and then we just started Work on Me Wednesdays, which we started last week, and so this is our second week. And so pray for me, pray for us as we endeavor to encourage people with the hopes that everybody gets better together. So today, last week we talked about moving into the new year and making some different decisions and making some different choices. And so today what we're going to talk about is to decide before the decision. Now, isn't that interesting? And so how can you decide before the decision? And so we'll go into that. So in Joshua 24th chapter 14th through the 15th verse, Joshua is trying to he's trying to convince the children of Israel that, you can either go this way and serve, the gods of our captors and the gods of the past, or you can serve the one true and living God who has brought you out and brought your people out and this and that. And so he's trying to, encourage them to shift. And so he's giving them some instructions on how to choose, how to make that best decision, right? And then at the end of it, he comes down and he says, as for me and my house, we'll serve the Lord, which tells me that as he's trying to convince them, he had already made up his mind. The decision had been made before the decision. He had decided already that this is what I'm going to do. Now, I'm going to encourage you to do the same thing I'm doing. However, my decision had already been made. And that's because he had a set of standards that weren't moving and wavering like the people's standards. And so if you have a set of standards that are fixed, then you won't be tossed to and fro. And it's easier for you to make decisions that are in your best interest because your standard is fixed. And so what he wasn't doing is practicing, I guess they call it situational ethics. Because if you have a set of standards, it doesn't matter the situation. It doesn't matter what's happening or what's going on. Your standard says that under these circumstances, this situation, this is what we decide. The good thing about that is this. You save yourself a lot of headaches because most people make their decisions based off emotions on how they feel at the time. Right? So that young lady will go out with that guy or give him her number based on how she feels, even if she's looking at what she does not want in a man or in a husband. But because he approached her and she'll say, oh, maybe he can, maybe he'll change, and he don't change. You the one end up changing. He don't change. But you have to decide before the decision. You have to have a set of standards. And so as we move into this new year, this 2019, let's have some standards that aren't moving, that aren't floating. Let's have some standards that have a firm foundation in which we can build upon, right? If you want a different year, if you want a new year, if you want this year to be better than last year, you can't make the same bad decisions. And so a starting point for making good decisions is to have a set of standards. That's paramount. That's what's important. Let me check my notes, make sure I gave you everything that I meant to give you. I'm turning the page. All right, cool. So we're going to wrap it up. Decide before the decision. Already have a set of standards. Know what it is that you want and what you don't want. Know what it is that fits that schematic. Okay, if you want a husband that comes home at night and pays the bills and takes care of the kids and this and that, you know the type of man you should be avoiding. And so avoid that. Let that be your standard. That no, I'm not even going to date you as a friend. I'm not even going to hang out with you like that. No, because I don't want to get trapped into nothing, and I don't want you to pull me into nothing. I don't want to lead you on whatever excuse you give. Already have made up your mind that your standard is fixed. And if anything, your standard never goes down, it always goes up. And so we'll talk about that on next week, too, as we talk about how to build. My wife was just sharing she's just pouring out some things earlier today and talking about how to build and counting up the cost and what it takes. And so we'll go into that on next Wednesday. I pray you were blessed today. Let's make better decisions. Let's have a standard that's not moving or wavering, but fixed, just like our God.